Hello YouTube, message in the bottle here. Now, this video is gonna be a little uncomfortable to make, especially the fact that I'm using a clip of this actress. But the main reason why I'm using this clip of this actress is because I just want to make a point of what I've been trying to say in my last couple of videos, especially the video about the actress that blackpilled me. If you guys remember, I was discussing about how this woman blackmailed me because I realize it's more common than you think. It's one of those taboo things that people are uncomfortable talking about, and yet behind the scene, majority of people they will definitely get involved if the opportunity presents itself. And that taboo is basically women voluntarily allow themselves to be used up by dudes that they have no plan to commit to in the long run. And the topic of this video is essentially is about why men go along with it. And the answer to that question is very simple. Like, there's nothing complicated about us men. Majority of us men, if we can, we try our best to make it simple and easy to understand. And that is basically sex itself is a natural thing for us men to desire. It's a natural instinct. Women, they also have that natural instinct, but the thing is that they have to, how do I say this, passively look into a guy that fits into the instinctual desire, if that makes any sense. Because women, they also have sex drive. They have that drive to want to be, sleep with a man that it's their ideal description of what a man should be. And us men, we basically have lower standards, but we're willing to take whatever woman that's willing to sleep with us. Now, about what I said in my other videos, sometimes us guys, we don't really have a choice of what options we have in terms of dating and mating. But when it comes to short term commitment, as long as there's no backlash, as long as there's no repercussion just for being with a woman for the short term, majority of us men we're willing to go into it just for the sake of sleeping with a woman and the experience itself. Because like I said, sex is very natural. It's a natural desire. It's like your desire to eat. Obviously, if you don't eat, you go hungry. It's your desire to drink water. Obviously, if you don't drink water, you're gonna dehydrate, and if you're dehydrating, you're gonna pass away, you're gonna die. So it's that natural instinct of desiring, and sex is one of those criteria of us human beings that we desire. But out of all the psychology books that, well, not books, but videos, articles, everything that get to read and learn about human psychology, it all comes down to human bonding and connection. And sadly, we live in a society that is promoting short term commitment, and short term commitment is very damaging to both men and women. But why guys, get involved is because our option is running out. Like, think about it. The past couple of years, there has been articles after articles, videos after videos of how marriage is becoming kind of like a secondary thought, if not, then outright a privilege if you get the right partner. If you do not get the right partner, then marriage it becomes a burden, it becomes a nightmare. And worst of all is when you as a man, if you get divorced, you're screwed. So what's the only option left aside from not having long term commitment. Sleep whatever woman you can in the short term. And some guys, they outright reject it entirely and go involuntarily, well, not involuntary, but more like syllabus, but voluntarily, if that makes any sense. Because I'm fully aware that in Japan, they also have that issue. They're called hoverboard men, and it's guys that essentially shut themselves from society. Here in the United States, it's slowly becoming that reality. And on top of that, the next generation, the Gen Z, the Gen Alphas, I believe, but definitely Gen Zs, they're checking out of dating because they realize it's not worth the hassle anymore. So, what relates to the video that I'm showing, the clip that I'm showing, is because when a woman is willing to voluntarily allow herself to be used up and be shared around with a bunch of other dudes, guys still willing to hop in that bandwagon as long as there's no repercussion. Like, think about it. As long as there's no repercussion, any guy will definitely do it. And funny enough, there was a social experiment that kind of reinforced this fact. The social experiment that I was watching is a man versus a woman asking a bunch of people out for a date and see if they're willing to do it. When the man was going out, asking a bunch of women out for dates, like, just random strangers, the guy had very less response, like positive response, compared to the woman. And the woman, she overwhelmingly got a lot of response. So it kind of shows like the gender dynamics of desires between the two sexes, but still, when a woman voluntarily allow herself to be, you know, shared with a bunch of dudes will hop into the bandwagon because that could be their only options for that intimacy. Even though it's short term, it's probably their only option. So this is kind of like the black pill, what I'm trying to get at. And this woman that you see right here, she definitely blackpilled me about this reality. And what's even sadder is that this is more common than you think. Some guys that are voluntarily banging a woman that is already married or is in process of getting divorced, while they know the risk, in their heads they're thinking like, hey, this is probably the only time I might get that intimacy that I really need, you know. So their option is running out then. And I feel like I said in my previous video, I feel like it's gonna get much worse before things get better. Before we start seeing marriage rate get better, before we start seeing the relationship between the two genders getting better, things are gonna get a lot worse. A hell of a lot worse. So until then, yeah, stay safe, guys. And uh, I'm sorry if this video makes you a little uncomfortable if you see this clip, but I'm just trying to point out the message. And sadly, it's one of those taboo things that people don't like talking about. Well, guys, I think I've ranted enough, so I'm gonna end it here. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.